What up, everybody? We're coming at you with episode number 12. This is going to be a pretty cool episode, just to give everybody a heads up. Definitely going to do something a little different this week. I've talked to a couple people about this, and actually it was Christy Fisher's idea. Down at the track Saturday night, we're drinking, standing around, just everybody's talking and catching up, and she made the comment that somebody should interview me this weekend or this week for the podcast. And I thought, that is an interesting idea. And then, obviously Fisher was standing there and he's like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd do it. And it wasn't the only suggestion. Blake Hooper called me today and said, he had an idea of something that he might want to start doing, and with him and a couple other people or me or whoever. And he made a comment that somebody should interview me today. And he said he would have 20 to 30 questions and he would do it in a heartbeat. And I was like, it's funny, because Fisher also said that he would do it. And then, my fiance made the comment that somebody should interview me this weekend. And so I think it's, the vote's unanimous, and we're going to do this. And matter of fact, I'm actually going to get both Blake and Fisher on the phone, and they're both going to interview me. And then, I told them we can, talk a little bit about, Coles County Dragway and turn it into just an episode. It's a little different. I usually sit here and do this by myself, and usually get a caller on the phone and do an interview myself. So it's going to be a little different. We're going to turn the page a little bit, and, I'm going to be on the other side of it this week. So that is coming up a little bit later in the show. But first, we're going to go ahead and talk about this weekend. It was a hot one. Anybody that was down there or wasn't down there, it was a hot weekend. The weather was just, a typical summer day. And usually that's not a good recipe when you're talking drag racing. People stay home. They don't want to come. The traction is questionable, whether the track will work or not. And then, obviously just sitting down there and sweating and being miserable in your car, and, track temperatures of upwards of 130 to 140 degrees. That stuff's never fun. It's not fun for us that's down there racing, and it's especially not fun for, the employees that are standing out there on that track all day with no breaks. So it's usually not a good recipe for a weekend of bracket racing, but we made it work. Coles County Dragway, Rod Veland and everybody on the staff was, just did a phenomenal job as always. Rod had some people call in and didn't show up. And you know what? This is kind of seeming to become a little bit of an issue. Finding some dedicated workers that just, love being down there and love doing what they love. Obviously, they don't love it enough to do it when it's 100 degrees. So, or not even 100, but there was heat advisories out. The humidity was awful. And, but like I said, the staff came together, and Olin came out of the tower, worked the water box, and Christy Fisher showed up and did the announcing and did an awesome job. Always nice to hear her voice on the microphone. And, they made do with what they had. And I thought, they had issues, a few, nothing obvious to me. But, I know Rod was running around like a chicken with his head cut off a few times, and he had some stuff going on, but they really did a good job of getting the show in, and it was a good weekend. The big question that everybody's probably going to want to know that wasn't there was the traction. I'm going to tell you, it was one of the hottest days of the year, and I thought the track was probably better than it's been all year. Honestly, from a racing perspective, the way my car ran, the way everything went, I would take that I would take that weather every single weekend, as long as it, brought cars. But, my car was absolutely phenomenal. I did not move hardly 4th out all weekend on the 60 foot. Obviously this was the first weekend of VHT, for quite a while. And, I don't know if that was what it was, but it was just My car was absolutely kill mode, and I know several people that I talked to. They said that their cars were absolutely awesome. A few people had some traction issues. Not sure if that's the track's fault or the car's fault, or the tire's fault. There's several aspects that go into that, and I'm not positive what exactly caused it, but I thought the track was absolutely, just killer. Next weekend should be really, really good. Some cooler weather, and the VHT obviously makes a big difference. So I'm looking forward to next weekend. The cars are going to be just nasty good. On to Saturday's results. No juniors this weekend. So, basically just your main classes other than Novice Street. Novice Street hosted Matt Akers and Andy Brandenburg out of Tuscola, Illinois in the final. And Matt Akers and his El Camino was really, pretty solid most of the day and got it done in Novice Street. Brandenburg had the better light in that race, but something happened and was way, way off the ET. But congratulations to Matt Akers. Hope to see you down there more. I know you're from Terre Haute, but we'd love to see you. We always enjoy when Terre Haute people come down. It adds more competition, and it's always nice to see different faces down there. So good job, Matt Akers, winning Novice Street Sportsman class. That was a pretty good one. Sportsman class actually was Jesse Brandt and Chad Isley that matched up in the final. Jesse Brandt hasn't been down there a lot this year. He's got an El Camino, and he, actually, I think that car was for sale. It might still be for sale. Hell of a good car. It used to belong to, I believe it belonged to Jimmy Barrett from Havana. And, if you don't know Jimmy Barrett, then you're living under a rock. Especially if you're listening to this podcast and you're into drag racing, you surely know who Jimmy Barrett is. But it's a really good car. And Jesse, like I said, he hasn't been down there a lot, but comes down there and shows exactly, what he's capable of. Jesse's a really good racer. Multiple times that he's been down there and won in sportsman class. He's been competitive in pro class. He's a hell of a good racer. Unfortunately, Jesse's not down there every week, and we wish he was. Always nice to see competitive drivers showing up at Coles County. But him and Chad Isley met up in the final. Chad is in Cooper's car, and Jesse just lays one on him. I mean, Chad has been on a roll. He has been just tearing through the sportsman class, and Katrina's been staying right with him. He's actually gained some points this week, but it seemed like Chad was just on a roll, and then you turn around and Katrina's right there with him. It's like he just can't really get away from her in the points. Anyway, Jesse Brandt's 008 in the final, breaks it out by 5 thou. Chad's, I think, 30 something. He breaks it out quite a bit, and just trying to catch him, and it just worked out in Jesse's favor. Jesse threw together a hell of a run and picked up the win in sportsman class. So, congratulations to Jesse Brandt and Chad Isley for running up. Pro class semifinals. Andy Romine and Tim Muchow. Tim Muchow finally got him a set of tires that is working. He's been struggling. That car, if you watch that car all year, I don't know how he raced it. I would have just lost my patience. I just can't have fun if I don't have a car that's not competitive. And Tim Muchow has fought his car most of the year when it comes to traction issues, but I think he's figured it out, and I think it was a faulty set of tires. But he's been running pretty well since. He's got him a good set of tires on there. He's hooking up, and he's, results don't lie. He's been in the semis several times now, and he was there this weekend and had to face Rob Fisher. Rob Fisher beat him, and Andy Romine there in the semis also. Andy's, starting to have a little bit of success. He's been, racing a little bit better these last couple of weeks. So semifinalist Andy Romine and Tim Muchow. The final was actually Rob Fisher and myself. This was a pretty good one. For me anyway. I didn't miss it. I was on my game, had been on my game most of the day, and I got thrown in the left lane. Fisher had been running the right lane all day. I'd been running the right lane, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna, let's just run it. I'll go to the left, whatever. And I wasn't, from what I've been told, with the new starting line sensors, everything's identical. So I was like, I'm just going to be looking at the tree differently. I'm going to be looking across my car, and hopefully I can still hit it like I've been hitting it. And I was 001. Fisher was a little late, and that was the rest. The rest spelled history. So I picked up the win in pro class, and that would be the reasoning behind somebody interviewing me today. So this will be interesting. I'm looking forward to see how this all plays out, but you never know with them too. Super Pro semifinals, Kevin Dively out of Springfield in his 89 Camaro, the lone survivor in the semifinals, so only 3 cars in the semis. The Super Pro final hosted Todd Cap out of Springfield. Todd is one bad dude. He had a really good day and was just, he was rolling really good. Todd was 22 in the final and dead 6, so he's 28 total in the final against Denny Katz. Denny Katz is another one that's been just on a tear this year. It seems like he's just every weekend he's money. So congratulations to them two. Me and Todd raced in the King of the Track runoff, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think I talked to him briefly afterwards, and I didn't really catch exactly what he had said. But basically, he's got a delay box, and I'm running on the no box side. I line up, and I get staged. And I think we both get staged. Out of the corner of my eye, I see his car jump forward. But I don't know what's going on because I run blinders. I can't see his side of the tree. So I don't know if he's red. I don't know if he's deep. I don't know nothing. I obviously knew he was deep by getting his stage light on and then the car just completely jumping a good 2 foot. I mean, I'm thinking, what the hell? And in my head, I'm just thinking, just click it green because he's in so deep that even if he didn't knock the bulbs out and get disqualified, there's a good chance that it's just not going to work out in his favor. So I was 39 up front, and then I don't even know if he made it down the track. He kind of started to take off and maybe coasted the rest of the way, but I got the win in the King of the Track. So that was your Saturday results. So obviously a good weekend for me, and I needed it. I'm trying to get up there in the points, and I've run pretty decent, in the last week or two, but that one helped. Sunday was obviously a little bit of a different story, especially for me. I was awful Sunday and was knocked out in the 3rd round on the trailer and headed home. Only good thing about that is I got home and had plenty of time to do stuff around the house. So I'm not going to complain. I obviously would have loved to went on a little bit further and win a few more rounds, but it is what it is. That's part of bracket racing. Sunday they hosted the Street Fighter class, and Chuck Ulrich faced Mike Mueller. Both drivers out of Paxton. Chuck's driving an El Camino. He actually gets the win. So awesome job to them guys, and Mike Mueller for runner up in the Street Fighter class. Sportsman final. Chad Isley once again. Chad is on a roll, and it's just amazing. He's having a hell of a good year, and you know what? He's a really good racer. So I mean, it's almost you almost expect that out of him, but he's really having an awesome year this year. But he's actually in the final with Caleb Kaywood. This is awesome. I thought this is really, really cool. Caleb is a young racer, and I've talked about Caleb before. He's just an up and comer, and he's not been doing this long, but he's really, really having a lot of success. And I feel like Caleb in the next year or two, I mean, with the he's making tremendous strides in this sport, and he could be a really, really big hitter in the near future. So I mean, he's already a really good racer. So he's in the final with Chad, and he clicks it red. So gives Chad the win. So awesome job to Caleb Kaywood. Keep at it, man. You'll get that first sportsman win eventually. It's gonna happen. And just keep your head up, and there's nothing, if you don't go red every now and then, you're not trying hard enough. So, I hear people say all the time that, well, if you go red, you're done. You don't have a chance. You're completely done from the get-go. But I'm telling you right now, the best bracket racers in the world click it red just about once or twice every weekend. I mean, because that's what it takes to win. That's what it takes to be great at this sport, is to be able to cut lights consistently in the double O's or the tens or the teens. And when you're pushing it that close, you're going to click it red every now and then. and you got to know exactly who you're racing. And I mean, I tell you what, I'm not going to take anything away from Caleb, for being red in that. And some people would, and there's people out there that think that way, but I'm telling you, Caleb, that, you got to go after it. That's what it takes to be good in this sport. So, you know what? Awesome job this weekend. And awesome job to Chad for picking up the sportsman win and runner up the night before. Pro class semifinals, Rick Schaffner. Always fun when Rick comes to the track. He's a hell of a good racer. Rick is a really, really good racer. And he usually races at Havana. He kind of bounces back and forth between Coles County and Havana. But you know what? It's always nice when I see him down there. He's a great dude. But anyway, he was a semifinalist in pro class on Sunday. And the final hosted Rick Wells and Jim Treat. First of all, good job to Rick Wells. Rick is, he's wheeling not what you would call a conventional bracket car. He's done a lot of stuff to this V6 Mustang or Camaro. So he's going to hate me for almost messing that up. But done a lot of stuff to this Camaro. And you know what? Like I said, it's not your traditional bracket car, but he's having some success and he's figured some stuff out. And to be in a final of pro class at Coles County Dragway says a lot, because there are some hitters at Coles County Dragway in every class, but pro class is a really, really tough class. So you know what? Hands down to Rick. He turns it red, runs dead 2 against Treat. I don't know exactly how red he was, but results page don't tell you that. It just says he went foul. But Jim Treat gets the win. Jim was 23 up front, and he's 23 above. So not a bad run for Treat. And he's actually who knocked me out in the third round, and he was just as solid as could be. It would have been really tough for me to win that race, but regardless of how good I would have been up front. But Jim Treat is really, having some success in his last couple weeks. He's one of those guys that you better watch out, because before you know it, he's going to be up there, within a few points of the lead in pro class. And I know Jim Treat, he's last year's, pro champion. He's not going to miss a week. He's going to be there every week, and he will acquire points, and he could catch you in a hurry. So Jim Treat, awesome job in pro class this week. On to super pro class. Your winner in super pro, the final hosted Kevin Dively and Adam Hughes. Two awesome people, two awesome cars. Kevin Diley is a really good racer, got a really nice Camaro, and finally, has a little success this weekend. Kevin's one of them guys that you usually see him in the late rounds in Super Pro when everything's working, the car and the track and everything. Kevin's a really good racer, but he gets the win in Super Pro, and awesome job to both them drivers. Adam Hughes obviously is one of the very well known drivers down at Coles County Dragway. He's very tough competitor. Got a really good car, and Kevin Dively gets the win over him and parks his Camaro on the dance floor. You know what? He also won the King of the Track and over Jim Treat. So just a good weekend for Kevin Dively. And, we also had the Quick 8 Series this weekend. Adam Hughes won that. So awesome job to Adam Hughes. And the semifinals in the JT Quick 8 was Doug Patrick and Kurt Taylor. Awesome to see Doug Patrick back down there, got his car together, down there racing again. Missed Doug. He'd been down there watching Clayton race, and but I love Doug's car. Doug's got just one of the baddest Mopars on the property, and I love when he's down there. So that's kind of how your weekend played out as far as results. I tell you what, I there's a few things that stood out to me this weekend. Katrina Murphy is just phenomenal. She is, it's like, we look at the success that Chad's having, and then you go look at the points, and you're like looking at the last 4 to 5 weeks. To me, Katrina is having as about as good of a year as ever. Obviously she's, last year's sportsman championship or champion, winner. And, she's not leading the points right now, but she is racing really, really, really well. And obviously Chad, it's only a 5-point difference, and you've got 4 ET races left for bracket final points. And, I think there's a 5-point difference there. So I thought, Katrina is probably racing better than anybody down there right now, other than there's a few other drivers. Denny Katz is really on a roll right now. Rob Fisher's, his whole year has just been really, really good. So there's several people out there that I would say that is really kind of some standout drivers. But right now, I feel like Katrina Murphy's probably at the top of that list. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go through your points real quick, and then we are going to go into this interview. Let's see how this goes. But anyway, your sportsman top 10 right now. Chad Isley with 117, Katrina Murphy with 112. Ellis Booth missed Saturday. He was there Sunday. Didn't have the greatest day in sportsman class. He's got 88 points. He's sitting in third place. Behind him is Caleb Kaywood moving up. He's got 81. TJ Evans, he had some car issues, and he's got 78 points, but he had some car issues this weekend. Jumped in David Lyons or Tony Lyons, somebody, one of their Mustangs. They've got so many Mustangs, I don't know whose is who anymore, but jumps in the Lyons car and parks it in the semifinals in sportsman class. And, I had to give him a little hell on Facebook about getting it done in a Ford, breaking his stuff in his Chevy and jumping in a Ford and getting the final four. But awesome job to TJ. That's not an easy task to just jump in a car that you're not familiar with and have success like you did. So good job to TJ Evans. He's in fifth place, like I said, with 78 points. Behind him, David Lyons, sixth place. He was not there on Sunday. He has, 75 points. Jesse Fritz, also not there this weekend, seventh place. He's got 74. Larry Lyons was there this weekend. He's got 65. Rick Wells with 54. And rounding out your top 10, Tony Lyons with 51 points. On to Larice Motorsports Insurance Super Pro class. Denny Katz, hell of a good weekend. 13 points on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Just kind of pulling away with it. He's sitting in first place with 111. But Corey Butler's just right there. He's 9 points behind him. He's got 102. Bob Paul with 97. Jay Billingsley with 73. Jim Treat, 69. Austin Romine with 64. Daniel Earhart, also another good racer, 50 points. Doug Patrick with 50. Bill Bosler still hanging on to that top 10. He's got 48. And Sarah Weaver hanging on to the top 10. She has 46. Pro class got shaken up a little bit this weekend. Kim Nemeyer's been leading for quite a while, and that changed a little bit this weekend. I had a really good day Saturday, not so good Sunday, but I actually took over the points lead in pro by 4 points over Kim Niemeyer. So I've got 114. Kim Niemeyer's got 110. Jim Treat moved up the ladder. He's in third place with 105. Ron Hill had an awful weekend. Probably the worst weekend I've seen Ron Hill have ever. Ever since going all the way back to when I was a little kid. So Ron Hill, just a really bad weekend. I know he's dying for this next weekend to roll around so he can redeem himself, but he's in fourth place with 102 points. LSV Booth with 96. Jim Chittick with 95. Austin Romine with 90. Max Lane with 82. Andy Romine with 70. And rounding out your top 10 is Tim Muchow with 69. All right, so as promised, we're going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and get these two on the phone. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to go ahead and get these guys dialed up, and then we are going to go into over an hour with these guys. So this ought to be interesting. All right, so as promised, I'm shaking it up a little bit this week, and we're turning the page. This idea was mentioned Saturday night. I won pro class, and I believe it was Christy Fisher that made the first comment about it. And then Blake called me later today and also mentioned it. And, actually my fiance mentioned it. Like, you should have somebody interview you. And so I thought it was a pretty neat idea. I think everybody was kind of, thought it was pretty neat. So we're going to roll with it. Turn the page. I've got two callers, and this should be interesting. I know that they've got several questions. They've kind of communicated back and forth with each other. They've got some stuff wrote down. So I've got Blake Hooper and Rob the Rain Man Fisher on the phone with us, and these guys are going to interview me. So I'm on the other side of this now, and I get to see what it's like to have all the pressure on me this week. What's up, guys? Can you both hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we got you
right on.
Clear.
All right, on. All right. Well, you know the deal. I'm going to let you guys kind of kick it off here. I know that you guys are going to probably alternate back and forth, so we're not stepping on each other. And then, like I told you guys earlier, we're going to do the pick a winner, be a winner deal, and I'm going to let both of you have a chance at it. We'll get into that a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and kick this off, and I'm ready for what you got.
You want to go first, Blake, or you want me to hit it?
I can fire away when ready.
10-4.
So, I guess since you won on Saturday, how did you feel like your performance was on Saturday?
I felt like Saturday was really good. I know both of you have had these moments where when you let go of the button, you just every single time it don't feel like you can do any wrong. You know, you almost feel like you can't go red, you can't be bad. It's just every let go. As soon as you let go, you feel good, and that's kind of how the day rolled out on Saturday. I mean, I missed it. I think I missed it once, and I was 40 something. But other than that, I went through my tickets today. My worst light was a 15, I believe, through the rest of the night. So, I mean, yeah, it was, the performance was awesome, and it was kind of weird because early in the day, I'd made 2 rounds in a row where I had, I took the stripe by like, 9th hour or less, and I don't usually drive the stripe that well. So it was like, man, everything seems to be rolling good this week, So I thought everything was rolling good.
Okay, so that put you into the points lead then.
Yeah, I seen that today, and I mean, obviously I've said it all year that I'll tell you one thing. This probably be the last year I do this point stuff because it is the most challenging thing to do with my job, and it doesn't really matter what kind of job you have. It really just wears you out. I mean, there's so many point races, and it's just you got to be committed to this every single weekend. I've missed one race this year, but other than that, I mean, this is, a lot of people call it, a participation award, and I agree with that because there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, both of you included, that if you guys ran it every single weekend, there would be some different names up there at the top. I mean, there would be a lot of different names. I mean, Andy Romine, Austin Romine, Chad Isley, all them guys, if they ran it every single week and went for the points, I think it would be a different outcome. But yeah, I mean, I'm up there right now, and the goal is to, I want to represent Race of Champions at bracket finals. I've never done it, and it's always been my goal. So right now, I'm up there, and we'll see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks.
It's funny you say that, Rusty. Me and my wife was just going over the points last night, and we done the math. If I would be at every race, and I never won around, just got 3 points all the way to the end, I would be sitting in 6th place right now.
I mean,
that's if I never won around and just showed up to every race. But,
and that's a good thing to throw out there because a lot of people give up after a certain point. They don't feel like they have a chance because they're sitting in 13th place or 14th. They might not, that might keep them from coming to the track. And of course, we want people at the track. I mean, obviously, you especially you two, you guys live 15 minutes away. I mean, we don't want to see the place go away.
Oh no.
It's one of the things that, I don't know, you're kind of torn whether you want it to have success or not. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about, the guy that runs the place, whether or not he's the right guy for it. But, he's stuck it out for 12 years. He's put a lot of work into it. I mean, everybody has their differences with Rod, but I don't want to see the place go away. And so definitely we want to see cars there. I mean, but yeah, I mean, that's crazy. That's a pretty cool thing to sit there and look at. 3 points a week and you're in 6th place.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's definitely been making improvements. You mentioned on last week's show, or maybe the week before, that Paul Hargis showed up there. And I was talking to my dad, and my dad told me that Paul had absolutely zero bad to say about the place.
Really?
Clean, it's mowed. His car ran identical down both lanes, and that's probably the first time it's ever done that.
Yeah.
So I haven't personally talked to Paul, but my dad talks to him quite often. He relayed to me that he was shocked and he was very pleased with what he went through last weekend.
Well, I'm kind of glad that you've got the chance to hear that, because I don't know Paul Hargis personally, so it's kind of hard to hear the feedback. But I really wondered about it. You know, it was his first time actually racing at Coles County in however many years, 11 years. I know you made a comment. He showed up for the Zen race a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was at the Ron Zen race, the very first one. I know somebody said it's been 11 or 12 years. I know he was at the Ron Zen race, but it did rain out.
Leafed out, didn't it?
Not sure he,
Wasn't it,
what'd you say?
Wasn't it leafed out? Is that the one that got canceled because the leaves were blowing?
It could have got leaked out, but I know when they done the ceremony, Bob Paul drove Ron Zen's car down, and when it got to the finish line, it absolutely unloaded and started pouring down rain.
Oh wow!
And then we all drank Natty Light.
Yep,
out the cooler.
That's the race where it poured down rain, and then all of a sudden it stopped raining, and then the dew set in. It was just nothing but fog by 6 o'clock at night.
Yep,
you couldn't see but 100 foot in front of you, but there was plenty of beers to be drank.
Yep, I went, and Ron Zen's favorite beer was Fatty Natty's, a little short natural light bottles, and I bought about 3 cases of them, and there was none left.
Wow, sounds like a good time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I'll go ahead. I'm just saying that's good that, you know, I like I said, I'm glad that somebody had a chance to talk about, you know, Paul Hargis's experience there. So, I mean, obviously I wasn't going to get on here and just lie and say, oh yeah, he had a great time. You know, I didn't know, but it's good for everybody else to hear that too. You know, there might be some people listening to this that ain't been there in a while, and, you know, they hear that side of the story and like, well, maybe we can give it another shot. So good stuff.
Everybody, you know, he had a problem with, you know, the owner the first year he took it back, and, you know, it's been 12 years, and here he is again, and he's probably going to come back.
Yeah.
But, give it another shot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, Russ, back to you, bud. The focus is on you, all right? What is the funniest thing you've ever seen at the racetrack?
Oh, Jesus. The funniest thing well, you know who this is going to be, who's going to be involved in this. This has got to be Tony Hill. I mean, regardless of any story you hear, it's Tony Hill 100%. And there's multiple.
Explain who Tony Hill is.
Tony Hill is my uncle. They've called him Tempo Tony. They've called him Mustang Tony. They've called him every name in the book. T-Bird Tony. He's raced about every vehicle he could ever get his hands on. He's my dad's brother, and he's won championships down there, and he was a really good racer. I mean,
he is a bad dude in a junk street car.
You damn right he is. I mean, the guy can wheel about anything. I mean, I remember he took an Olds 88 to an all run race one time, and was talking to my dad, and my dad's like, you realize what all run is, right? And he's like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, that's going to be everything, like dragsters. He's like, really? And he gets there, drives all the way there, and gets it in the final, and has to race a 4-second dragster. And I think he's dialed like 11 something, and smoking all the way down the track. And oh my God. But yeah, Tony Hill, the deal with him is he was hardcore into like camping out at the track. Like, people don't do this anymore, but he would set up a tent. He would bring a grill, he'd bring cooler, he'd bring all his food, and he would just literally camp out the hard way. I mean, he would rough it. And there was, the deal was, when he would go to sleep, everybody, me, Josh Chase, Robbie Easton, I mean, Bubba Long, everybody that was out there would think of something to do to mess with him. So probably two of my favorite, and probably two of the funniest, was the year that Josh Chase put a bunch of duct tape underneath his frying pan. And the next morning, Tone's, you know, he's getting out his little gas grill. He's putting the frying pan on the grill, and he, you know, puts a little olive oil in there, starts it up, and he's, you know, letting it heat up and everything. He turns around to get the eggs and bacon and stuff out of the cooler, and he's digging through the cooler, and he turns around, and the thing is blazing, 5-foot flames. There's smoke just completely barreling out of this pan, and he's throwing the eggs and the bacon shaking and kicking his cooler over, trying to get to it, and he's cussing. He's like, "What the hell is wrong with this son of a bitch?" And he's throwing it on the ground and stomping on it and trying to figure. And oh my God, everybody knew about it too and was just waiting for him to get up that morning and cook breakfast. So that was probably one of the funniest. But there was another time somebody went and knocked his tent down while he was sleeping in it. And that one really pissed him off. He was not happy about that. But the thing that made it all better was the guy that knocked it down went over there to try to offer to help him put it back up. And the guy was completely buck naked. I mean, completely buck naked. And Tony runs Tony runs him off before he ever gets up to him. "You mother effer, I'll fucking be," he's going off and chasing the guy. And the guy takes off running. And the next morning I said, he's going on. He's like, "Some son of a bitch knocked my tent down last night." And I said, "Oh, I heard he was naked." He goes, "Well, I thought that son of a bitch looked naked." So, yeah, definitely two of my favorite memories and probably the funniest things I've seen down there.
Can I add one to that?
Go. Oh yeah, for sure.
He went to sleep in his, I think it was a white Mustang. Was that what he used to race?
Well, yeah. He went. Is this the Saran Wrap story?
And they Saran Wrapped the whole car.
That was his truck. Yeah, he slept in his truck.
It was about 110 degrees outside.
I remember watching him get out of it.
And he cut a little section in the Saran Wrap so he could stick a cigarette out the window.
Oh, I remember watching him slide out of it the next. Oh my God, it looked like an Ethiopian kid trying to squeeze out of like a trap box or something.
And I will say this: I unzipped the tent to allow Bubba Long ride his scooter through it one night.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Oh yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah. Oh man, there was some good times down there with Tony Hill. I would love to get Tony Hill on this podcast. That would be a blast.
Oh boy. Okay.
But that's definitely top moments for me for funniest.
So when did the racing bug bite you? When was your, I guess, when did you know you became hooked on drag racing?
I would say as a kid, I never got the opportunity to race a junior dragster, and I wanted to so bad. Today's world, like you see a practice tree or somebody that's got a little, eliminator practice tree or whatever, and it's not that big of a deal to people. It's just like, yeah, whatever. But to me, when I was a kid, anybody that had one of those, I was so addicted to them because I didn't get to do any of that kind of stuff. I didn't, I was just down there watching my dad race, and I was cheering for him, obviously. But, I talked about this a couple weeks ago with the Robbie Easton deal and how he kind of really introduced me to that little clique that they all ran around together. And it kind of put me around that atmosphere more. And I started to have friends down there and learned a little bit more by listening to them guys talk about how they were doing or what they were doing differently on the racetrack. And, I kept bugging my dad. I wanted a junior dragster, and he made a deal with me. The year that they gave out the dragster, the only year they ever did that for the pro championship, they gave out a full dragster, and it was my dad and Todd Stillwell battling it out for that. And Todd Stillwell ended up winning it by a couple points. But, Dad didn't want a dragster, and he said, if I win that, I'll sell it and I'll build you a junior dragster. So, obviously I hate Todd Stillwell, but no, I didn't get the junior, but I knew as a kid, you watch it and you don't understand it that well. So when you see your dad lose, you're thinking, well, you should have done this. And you're trying to, tell him how to race. And he's just rolling his eyes like, yeah, well, whatever. You'll see one day. And the very first time I went racing was in his 1976 or something, 78, quad cab, Ford Dually pickup truck. Or no, it wasn't a Dually. It was a Ford pickup truck, 1978, I think. Had a 460 in it, and I had ladder racks on it. So I took it down to the racetrack, me and him. Couldn't get it to hook up, but I had a blast. And I wanted to, obviously I didn't, have anything I could compete in, but it wasn't very long, and he put me in his, the 75 Dodge Dart back when it run like 880s, and I was hooked. I mean, to this day, I took a little bit of a break, but it's right now I'm into it more than I think I've ever been into it.
You just gave me a dream. I think when I'm old enough to have a kid, I'm going to get a truck with a ladder rack and throw a junior dragster on top of it.
I have a dream.
That's a good dream. I mean, that might be rough getting a junior up there, but I tell you what, it was, everybody was looking like, what the hell is that? You know, and I'll tell you what, that truck was fast. It was really, it had a top end speed like no other. There wasn't too many kids in school that could outrun me on the highway, but it taken off. It was a pig. I mean, but big old 460. I mean, that thing would scoot.
Okay. I'm kind of at a loss for questions. I mean, I can usually rip them out, but I'm just having to copy off of Blake tonight.
Trust me, man. I know this is not an easy deal. Every time I decide who I'm going to interview, I got to sit down and I really got to make out a list of everything that we can discuss.
I actually forgot we was going to do this until you texted me like 7:45.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
If you could have any race car combination in the world, what is your idea of the perfect bracket car?
Oh boy.
I mean, what's your?
Just
I know you
call
have a
just
70.
call Lucas
I know you
Walker
have
and
a
tell him to
70.
send me his car, and that'd probably be the one.
I noticed you wanted to buy that black one.
Yeah, I did. I tell you
He
what,
didn't
man.
make probably 20 runs in that car, but that was a nice car.
Yeah. I you know, just about everything Lucas builds is just bad to the bone, but I really like that notchback that he's got. And I've always wanted something small, something, you know, that you can really judge the stripe in. I mean, look, you know the deal, Fisher. You're running a big long wagon, and Blake, you're going to be running one soon. But bigger cars, you know, it's a lot different when you're sitting in an S10. You're almost like you're in a fishbowl. I mean, you can see everything around you and everything. You're just up close and personal to the race, and that's kind of what I've always wanted. What's that?
The only reason I bought that Mustang is because I raced Travis Booth's car, and I said this thing is literally a giant fish tank. You can see everything.
Yeah.
A little trivia question. The center of my front wheel to the center of my driver's seat is exactly where like Romine's S10 is.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And the brown car is exactly the same.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, so I sit so far forward in there, and the front wheel,
Right.
front wheel is, it's about the same area. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's, that's probably, I mean, I would take a Ford Ranger, like, you know, souped up, built into a drag truck or something like, you know, an Andy Romine's S10 style. But I mean, if I had to choose right now, I mean, if somebody told me I could have any car in the world right now, I'd just go knock on Lucas's door. So,
hey, you know what? Somebody did that a while back, and he sold the black one.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I heard it cost a pretty penny, but yeah.
Yeah. So I know, but I don't know. We'll just go there.
So that's your favorite car. What was the first car you bracket raced in? Your first drag car?
The first drag car, like pure drag car, was my dad's Dart. Obviously that was back, you know, he raced it in the 90s, and then just kind of gave up racing for a while. Did the whole camping thing for probably, I don't know, 10 years, and let me kind of take it over. And, you know, it ran about 880s, and I would double class. I'd run pro and sportsman. And, you know, I had some moments in that car, and there were several times that I probably had a chance, you know, that, you know, possibly win a points championship. And I choked at the end, or, you know, something came up, but I was competitive in that car. But, you know, things started changing. I mean, evolving in the racing world. And you guys know this, there's a lot of tricks. A lot of people have found out that racing, you know, the faster cars, you know, building a faster car, it's a little easier to judge, or it's, you know, there's advantages to it, but there's also advantages to having a slower car, because it's just as hard for them guys coming up on you that are 20 mile an hour faster than you. It's just as hard for them to judge that. But, you know, that car, it just kind of got a little outdated and needed a lot of work. So we ended up parking that car, and, you know, Dad decided he was going to get back into the sport. And then I had a 67 Mustang that I kind of, you know, took over for a while for racing, you know, for Larry Warner, and he wanted to sell the car, and I bought that. And that was my first, bracket car that I owned. So the first car I really raced was Dad's Dart. And obviously it's way different now, but, then the first one I owned was the 67 Mustang.
How many cars have you driven?
honestly, not a lot. I have drove the White Dart. I have drove the 67 Mustang, and I've drove the Roadrunner. That's all. That's honestly all I've
Never
ever
drove a street car down the drag strip. That
Oh,
blows
you
my
know what?
mind.
Yeah, I lied. I had a 96 Mustang GT that I raced in sportsman class
Cool.
for a while. But yeah, I really
Yeah,
haven't been in a lot of cars. You know, there's a lot of people that I'll ask people to run their car or and I've never, I don't know. I guess I just can't do that. I've never actually asked somebody, and I wouldn't to this day. If my car broke this week and I had a chance to win the championship the following week, I wouldn't go ask somebody. If somebody offered, you know, I would maybe consider it. I know my car broke over at US 41 this year at the 10Ks, and you know there were several people that offered their car. Kelly Dom offered to let me race her car. You know, David Lyons offered to let me. My dad, you know, I jumped in my dad's car. I'd been in it before, so I was comfortable with that, and that's the one I went with.
So what year did you start racing?
I would say I was about 17 years old in high school when I really got into it serious. And then by my senior year, I thought I was just, you know, the shit. You know, you're a high school kid and you got a race car that you go race every weekend. So yeah, I'd go to school thinking that I was just, you know, the man. But yeah, 2006 or 2005 was probably my first like all out full year. 2004 was probably when I kind of did it a little bit, got into it and started racing. I didn't do it all year, but you know, and then 2005 was a full year.
Ultimate goal in racing. Let's say, you know, as small as like winning a Wally or driving a top fuel car, or I think I know that's not the ultimate goal. Big checks, Wallies, Ironmans, beating your dad in the final, winning a track championship. What is Rusty Hill's goal that he has yet to achieve in bracket racing?
I think the ultimate goal for me, the ultimate dream would be to probably go win a big race, like a big race. I mean, 30 grand or more. I mean, to me, I can go without the whole NHRA Division III championship. And honestly, you know, I've discussed this with a few people that, you know, I'm going to go to bracket finals this year. I'm not the biggest fan of that race. And I know that most people know that I've talked to, that I'm not, you know, that race has never been that good to me. I mean, I've never really had much success there, so that might be why I don't like it as much, but I've just never been a big fan of that race. The payout is not great. It's, you know, and I know it's a big deal to some people, especially people that are really into NHRA. To me, it's just not that. I think it would be cooler to, you know, go to win a World Foot Brake Challenge or something along those lines where you've got probably the best bracket racers in the world there. I mean, bracket finals has got, you know, obviously it's got a lot of good ones, but it's got a lot of bad ones too. So, I mean, you know, and I'm not saying it's easy to go win the bracket finals. I will not say that at all. I obviously don't do good over there, but to me, I think the ultimate goal would be to win a big one like the World Foot Brake Challenge.
Yeah, back when I first started racing the bracket finals in the late 80s, it was, you know, there wasn't big money bracket racing. The baddest of the bad was there. And I mean, it's like, I mean, just take our track for instance.
Right.
You got to get down to like 35th place in each class to field a team.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
The top 10 don't go. You know, Jason McConnell, Andy Roline.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the badasses don't go to the bracket finals anymore. I mean, and it's just not. I mean, it's a cool race. I'd love to win it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'd love to win it myself, but yeah, I mean,
the track points reminds me a lot of high school sports. There's more talent walking the halls than there is on the field.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I mean, yeah, I know.
Me of
right.
Is there's more talent sitting at home or going to other places than showing up to the weekly bracket program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me piggyback off of that. You said you're not a big NHRA guy, which I know that. So for those that don't know, 2 years ago probably, Rusty didn't know a single pro NHRA driver. I'm talking Top Fuel, any of that stuff. He didn't know a single one.
I literally
basically.
did not.
He knows who Dak Prescott is, though.
Knows who Dak Prescott is.
I
Knows
know
how to
John Force was one of them. That's the only
Yep.
name I really know. And honestly, if you ask me today, and I've told multiple people this, the only ones I really know now are Leah Pruitt, the Ender Girls, just because I watched the movie when I was in high school.
Not even Leah Pruitt, so you don't even know her.
Leah Stewart. No. Yeah, I know the
Also-
Force Girls. I know the women. That's about the only ones I know, and there's an obvious reason for that.
I wonder why.
So if you can't tell, Rusty doesn't like watching racing that much
Ah,
as far as NHRA goes. He has never been to a national event,
never.
not one time.
Wow.
We get a GoFundMe page or something going to get go to a national event.
I tell
Not
you
saying
what.
it'll fix life, but
You
it's a good time.
He needs a nitro buzz.
He
Well,
does.
you know, there was a big deal back in the day. Was a big reason I would never go to that race was because that's also the same weekend that they had the World 100 every year at Eldora, the big late model stuff. And, you know, I'm way more of a fan
What's
of that
that?
stuff. Yeah, I know. That's where you watch your dog run around the tree a couple times, time to the tree and watch him run circles. No, I was a big fan of dirt track racing, and I still am. If I hit the lottery and was, you know, if I would have hit the Mega Millions, I probably would have just bought a late model and went, you know, dirt racing. But I don't know. I've never been to a big race like that. And I mean, obviously I'll go one of these days. I think I'll wait till my kid's just a little bit older and take him. But yeah, honestly, I've never even sat down and watched a full race on TV neither. I mean, not an NHR race. Honestly, I don't really watch Motor Mania a lot either. Bracket racing, if I don't know somebody that's there racing, I just really don't have that much interest. I mean, it drives me nuts because I want to be there. So it's just like, if I watch it, it just gives me the itch and it makes me, you know, pissed off that I'm not there doing it. And I don't really have any interest in listening to what kind of packages people lay down.
As you can tell, it's not a spectator sport.
No, it's not. I mean, to some people it is. I know I've been over to multiple people's houses. You know, I was over at Corey Butler's this winter getting my car, and they had the race that was going on in either Louisville or not Louisville, but Louisiana or Florida or somewhere, and they were just sitting in the garage watching that, and they were into it. Like, and I'm just like, man, I just couldn't. I don't think I could do it. I mean, if I had a bunch of buddies over drinking and you know, having fun, and it was on the TV, then yeah, maybe. But as far as just sitting there by myself, I'm not that interested in it. I mean,
So if you don't know anybody or have any NHRA favorites, who are some of the racing people that you look up to?
oh wow. You know, obviously my dad's number one, but you know,
And he should be.
yeah, and you know, but I'll always, forever in my heart, have a place for Robbie Easton and the way that he just kind of took me under his wing when I was just a little kid. I mean, Robbie's 5 years older than me, and I was probably 8 years old. Didn't know a single person, and I was kind of shy, and I didn't go around talking to people. And he just he introduced himself, and you know, I always rooted for him. You know, when he was in a junior dragster. And I've got a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for down at the track, not just look up to, but a lot of respect. And, you know, there's guys like Andy Romine that, you know, the guy will literally just go and do anything for me or my dad. And I mean, you wouldn't believe how many hours he spent on my car alone. I mean, a lot of people think that my dad built that car, but man, Andy Romine had a lot to do with putting that car together.
You
So
probably got 100 hours in my car.
oh, I know it. And the guy is just, you know, really,
I've never taken it there to him.
yeah, the guy is just one of them guys. He's hard to not like. And, he's obviously he's a good racer and everything, but he's just one of them kind of guys that, me and you or anybody else could sit and listen to him talk about racing or just life in general for hours. I mean, the guy's just got a way of talking. So yeah, them some of the ones that I look up to, and I try to, take after, as far as, how Andy races and how his attitude is towards racing. He's probably got one of the best, mental preparations, and the way he goes about racing is probably just as good as anybody as far as how he prepares himself mentally. And then it's just, as far as my dad goes, he's always going to be the, the number one guy, as far as looking up to.
Good answer. Yep. I think that's probably where a lot of people who race get their start is off their dad.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I know I did. There's 3 of them right here in this phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that, I really feel privileged, and I feel pretty lucky that, and honestly, I tell people this all the time. Really, I grew up my whole life as a teenager and through my 20s. I said I never wanted to have kids. I just did not want to do it. I was too selfish. I didn't want to spend my money on somebody else. I didn't want to give up the stuff that I did for fun for somebody else. I wouldn't lie about it. I was just literally just too selfish to have my own, kid. And honestly, the deal that changed my mind on that whole scenario was when we got this Roadrunner put together, and me and my dad started racing down there every single weekend, and just how much fun I had and hanging out with him. And, me and my dad talk almost every day on the phone for hours. And people stop to think, my old lady asks me all the time, what the hell do you guys talk about every single day for hours? It's like, I don't know,
That's
but
your
I can
wife.
do it. Yeah. I mean, I can
wife,
do it.
Not your old lady.
No, fiance. She's not, we're not married yet. I bought that ring to buy myself a couple more years. No. I just feel like that's, I had that moment with my dad where I have so much fun going down. If I went down there by myself, I just don't think I would have as much fun. I really, me and him racing together, and, talking about the way the race laid out, the way his race laid out, or mine, the way it played out, and just bouncing stuff off each other and talking. And
Oh, yeah.
that really did it for me. I was like, man, I really want to have that moment with my own kid. I want to be able to, do that for my own kid. And that's really what kind of made me the final decision on whether I wanted to have kids or not.
I'm kind of jealous of you, Russ. You got to race your dad in the final, correct?
Yeah, this year. It was actually this year.
My dad raced for, for quite a while. And we raced together for probably 10 or 12 years, and we never got to race in the final. And, my dad, little known fact, he has never won a race.
Never won a race.
He's won rounds.
Right, yeah, right. No, but just never won a class.
He's runnered up like 2 times.
No
and
kidding.
He was in it for years. He never won a race. So just take that.
And yet his, your mom, didn't she, or stepmom, she won a championship, didn't she?
Yep, she sure did.
Yeah. Yeah, I never knew that. I did not know Carl had never won a race. I know he'd been doing it a long time, but I tell you, getting to a final, I mean, whether it would be with your best friend or with your dad or your daughter or your son or whoever, I mean, it's one of the things I almost thought, well, could it ever happen? And it seemed like we had our opportunities, but, we'd actually had to race each other. It takes a lot of, things to line up just right for that to happen. And it happened this year, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a race to remember. I believe he was 007 or 008. And,
Yep.
it was a good race. I think I was 2 total. And he was like, I don't even know, 10 total. Or no, he broke out by 2,000. It was a hell of a race. He was 008 or something, and I was 2 total. And it was one for the memories, for sure.
So is that your favorite memory from racing?
I tell you, that probably, it would be hard to, compare the two, but it's either that one or the 5K race that I won here. And, I can't, it's awesome to win that race. It's awesome to have the big check and whatever. But, looking on that day, there was a low car count. I guess the way I say it is, if anybody had a really good chance to win that 5K that week, that would have been the one to do. I mean, there wasn't the car count like you had at the very first ever double nickel. I mean, there was some hitters at that one. I mean, you'd feel a lot better about winning that one than you do winning the one that I won. But
shame on you, Russ. Shame on you. It still takes 7 rounds to win, and you still have to do your job every time. You ought to be very proud of yourself.
The check cleared. You got the big check. It doesn't matter how many cars there was there. It was still $5,000 regardless of the car count.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I say it's awesome to have it. But looking back on it, it's just, if I had to compare the two, that race or the one where I beat my dad in the final, I think I'm probably going to take the one over my dad. I mean, that was just an awesome deal for me, and to be two total against, I'll never be two total against him as long as I ever race, probably. I mean, and to do it in a final, it was just pretty cool.
You tried to do it to me.
No, I didn't. If you seen how much stripe I took, I didn't try to do two total.
Well, if I would have been any closer than 61, you might have had to run it out to go two total.
Yeah. Well, it happens. I tell you what, I did the same thing the very following day. I had a good week this weekend, but I tell you, I was awful Sunday. I mean, I was decent a couple times, but I did the exact same thing that me and you talked about, and I've done this before myself. I double clutched it. I went to jerk my hand off, and the way I did it was, I knew I was catching the light coming on instead of waiting, and so I just kind of stopped my arm and jerked it, and then when I let go, I'm like, I'm done. I didn't even matter. I thought, well, there's always that split second you think maybe he was bad too, but I knew about a quarter of the way down the track, I was like, I'm not catching him. There's no way.
There's a great chance I wasn't getting inside of, what was your 12 total?
It was 001, and I think I was about 16. I was 16 above, I think. So it wasn't as, it wasn't.
Total.
Yeah,
I was toast.
It was, you know what, me and you've raced into several finals, but the one of the, I'll tell you guys are asking me about a favorite memory. This was right up there with it, and this is a pretty cool deal. My back when I owned that 67 Mustang, we were working all day to try to get that car ready, and
I gave you shit about not having an alternator
every week. Yeah. My dad had just bought the 70 Roadrunner off of, Patsy, Crabtree, a week prior. And we were working on my car, and just something, I don't remember what it was. We couldn't get it done. And my dad's like, well, take the Roadrunner down there. And I'm like, that thing hasn't been down the track in like 5 years. Like, it just got started for the first time in like 4 years. Like, there's no way. And he's like, well, it's better than not having a race car, isn't it? I was like, well, I guess you got a point. So we loaded that car up. He had just bought it. It just literally had been started for the first time in like 3 years when he loaded the car up. Still had the tires on it from when Walt parked it. Took it down to Coles County, and oh man, I tell you what, the car was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I was ready to sell my car that minute, like that day. The car was that good, and I got into the final, and it was against Rob Fisher. I remember this. Yep, it was against you. And
I don't remember.
So we were both awful up front. I think our lights were almost identical. I think we were 41, and I was like 42. It was almost identical reaction times. And I go down the track, and the car did not hit second gear. Like, the shifter must have been, the linkage must have been.
It now.
Yep. I think the linkage was just out of touch just a little bit. So when I went to go hit second, it didn't shift. And I did not know this at the time. I pulled off the track, and I'm like, I kind of had my head hung a little bit. And, Nikki Crabtree, it was like 2:30 in the morning. And Nikki Crabtree was still there, and she was in tears, and she was clapping and cheering me on, even though I just lost. And I thought, obviously, she's seeing her dad's old car down there in the final for the first time. It hasn't been at the track in 6 years or 5 years or whatever it was. And the first time it comes out, we put it in the final. So it was probably emotional. Well, I found out that next day, that was the anniversary of Walt's death, was that night. So, You talk about
man.
goosebumps. Like I just, it was one of them deals that was a pretty awesome moment.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Walt holds a special place in my heart too. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that guy was, I was kind of younger, but I remember I used to, go steal a couple diet root beers out of his cooler every now and then. Dude would drink the hell out of some diet A&W root beer.
Yeah.
So do you guys have anything else for me, or do you guys want to go into the game? You know what? Actually, before we do that, I want to get your guys' opinion on something. Fisher,
Okay.
you were down there this weekend, and it was hotter than hell. Rod had some people call in, and Christy had to go up there and announce. And you decided, well, you know what? I'm gonna go race. Why not? It's only 15 minutes down the
I
track.
wasn't gonna go right. I was gonna take it easy.
How can you do that though, man? You just gotta, you got a car. You're 15 minutes away from the track. What the hell?
And I roll over there and drag home some money.
That's right.
I mean,
But you've
like,
seen the car count, and
oh yeah,
it was not good this weekend. And it was, Sunday was the worst. I think I might have counted 12 cars in Super Pro. They might not have had much more than that in Sportsman.
there was 19 pro.
Yeah. What?
Sunday.
I don't get it. I think, there's obviously the weather. People don't want to race when it's hot. So, Rod's, his thing is I've got to do something, or I can't pay the lease, or I can't pay whatever, for that month. And so it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Here's the deal. You can either open the place and lose money, or you can figure something else out that do that weekend, keep the place closed and don't lose money. You ain't going to make no money,
Right.
But I just don't know what what the guy should do. Honestly, if it's going to be 90 degrees out, do you cancel? Do you try to run? What are your guys' opinions on this? Because obviously we want to see the car counts up, but I don't know if it's
Our count probably down a little bit. There was absolutely 0 junior dragsters this weekend. I'm sure that helps. I'm sure that helps when you collect all the entry fees and pay out nothing because it's sponsored.
Yeah, and then you get all the parents.
All the payouts are sponsored, and all the entry fees is 100% your profit. It's pretty simple math, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think the winner and runner up is loaded down with sponsors, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to hurt the bottom line. And when you bring in juniors, you're also bringing in Kelly Dahm, Eric Willenberg, all these people that also have big cars. So those juniors kind of affected the car count this weekend. It's no secret.
Right.
As far as the heat, I'm going to be dead honest with you. I usually don't have many issues anymore, but I went 427 to the half track every pass in both days.
Oh, the track was phenomenal. Yeah.
Kevin Dively texted me this afternoon. He said, we've been kind of talking back and forth about air pressure in his car. It's no secret he hasn't done very good there, and he told me he gets, third or fourth round, blows the tires off. Well, this weekend, it didn't do that. He found himself in the semifinal and then won on Sunday.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got it, and won the king of the track Sunday. Yeah,
he had a great weekend. So what I draw from that is, if your stuff ain't getting down the track, do what you got to do. You just got to work on it.
Yeah, you got to figure something out. You can't just expect the track to, you can't expect them to do more to the track just for you. That's a big deal. And some people.
It's easy to say that, and it's expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
I've spent a fortune on, I've had 5 different sets of front shocks on my car. I've had 5 different sets of back shocks on my car. You can ask Lucas. I've tried every Hoosier tire they make. And
yeah.
It's hit, but you can either do that or you can spend $120 a week going out there getting the same result.
Right.
If you can make your car work there, it'll pretty well work everywhere.
For sure. I agree with that. Yeah. And I thought this week was really, really, really good for as hot as it was. Obviously
Yeah.
they were running VHT this week, which is a little different
It
than
was
what they've
great.
been used to. And it was killer. It was absolutely killer. Talking about working on stuff, and I wouldn't be afraid to say to people out there that are having traction issues. I don't know what kind of tires you're running, but I feel like there's been some people that's having issues with some tires. Ordering tires and not just getting a faulty set of tires. I know 2 people that it's happened to, and it's a big long story, but there's a lot of stuff that you could try, but I don't know. I looked at the car count this weekend. It was obviously depressing, and it's just not as much fun when you get there and you're looking around and the place is dead and you're like, man, this, I was looking forward to, catching up and talking to people and hanging out with people. And obviously the racing's more fun with more cars, but it seems to be, a broken record down there. And when it's hot out, nobody, there's a lot of people that sit at home. There's a lot of people that just won't come because of who, runs the track, and, we get it.
There's a couple good races around. 41 had their points race.
Right.
Where, you can ask where this guy is or where that guy is, but you don't know what everybody's got going on.
Right.
Maybe they had, football practice or kids or, I know there's people had a birthday party. There's people, they got, you can't really, but not 50 people have something going on the same day.
I think all that leads me to my biggest thing with the car count is I just feel like with having as many points races as there is, the whole people don't think they have a shot at the points. And the other thing is whenever you have that many points races, I feel like it waters it down.
Yeah.
To where people don't feel the need.
I can tell you right now that if I wasn't in contention to win the, I think if I just got myself locked in to 8th place or something and knew I didn't have a shot of winning the Race of Champions, I probably would have taken a couple weeks off this year because, like I said, it really wears you down when you're down there every single weekend. And then there's so many double weekends. I mean, for
there's
me
so
and you,
many good races you got to miss.
Oh, for sure.
800.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I mean, it's like, and the thing is like equipment costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Fuel costs money. I mean, like a barrel of fuel now is reaching $200
Right.
if it's not already. It depends on what deal you're getting and who you're getting it from.
Right.
But a barrel of fuel, if you're going any rounds at all, like Rusty or maybe myself, a barrel of fuel lasts me 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Oh yeah, yep.
I mean, double days. I mean, if you don't, and then you get to the final, and then, like me and Rusty, we're buddies. We chopped it up 300, $550, $450.
Mm-hmm.
Well, $450, $200 of that's going to buy another drum of fuel. So I got $200 to maintain the car. So
right.
And when you go 7 rounds well, you can go 3 rounds at a $5,000 and almost get that.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And
but I mean,
it
costs more money to enter, so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But you're going to look up, like you yourself, you're going to look at your car at the end of the year, and you put 2 transmissions in it. You're going to wear your motor out.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to look at your bottom line. Hey, I won $4,800.
Right. And
I won 10 races. And I won, $4,800.
He's got it broke into tiers, and we only missed the an extra $400 by 2 cars. So I mean, if people were to show up, I mean, the money is there if they're it's $1,000 to win pro class if you've got 27 cars. I mean, that's pretty good.
I almost told you let's go give them 120 for buy those last 2 entries. and then pay the money.
Yeah, no doubt.
You can do that.
That would have been smart. I mean,
2 entries. Just don't drive a car up there. There's 32. There's 28 entries.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, it's like I said, if you get the cars, the money's there, but it's just getting them there. There's a lot of stuff that that's been in question this year, and I think a lot of it started with the traction issues and might have run some people off. And then, the whole Renegade situation. But, it's been hot the last couple weeks. And it's like, like I said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You want to race, but I know there's a lot of people sitting at home because of the heat. I know for a fact that, Jason McConnell was one of them a couple weeks ago. I talked to him personally, and he was like, "Yeah, it's just I wasn't gonna come out here for the, it's just too hot." And I like when McConnell's down there. I like when them guys are down there, and it just it adds an extra competitiveness when you got guys like that and at the track. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that you're on the committee that's supposed to be for improving the track. Do you guys meet very often?
We don't meet. We met the other day in the staging lane for.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
I heard him call everybody up there. I'm assuming that might have been traction issues. Was that the case?
No, it wasn't. It was a car left, or a car did not leave it, and the light just turned LB3A.
Oh, okay. I had heard somebody say something about traction, and I thought, man, track seems killer this week, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I don't know that it was traction. I seen a couple cars. There was a couple cars that couldn't get down the track or blew the tires off here and there. But I mean,
right.
Seems like the same cars every week's having the same issue. So
yeah,
but I mean they're cars that run 620s. You never see them like do anything different. You never see them like unhook the secondary, take power out, try to make it run 720. They're just there every week running 620s, blowing the tires off.
If they can make one good pass, they're happy.
I could never do that.
Absolutely, I could never have fun doing that.
I'll dial 789 if I have to, but it's gonna go 789.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but anyway,
you guys, I'm assuming we're just pretty much wrapped up here with the interview. Unless there's any other circled question that you have that you absolutely wanted to ask that you didn't get a chance to, now's your chance. If not, we're gonna play the pick a winner, be a winner.
You gonna ask that last question, Blake?
I can ask. I can do like a rapid fire.
Oh boy, I'm down for that.
Here you go. Here's your rapid fire. You ready?
I'm ready.
What's your favorite food?
Italian. Anything Italian.
Okay.
Ready for the second one? Who are you scared to race?
I used to be like that, but not anymore. There was a comment made this week about who I'd have to race if I went up there in the semifinals, and I was literally I don't give a I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And I used to be intimidated by people when I was younger, or just even a couple years ago, but I've gotten in my head that I'm not racing somebody, I'm racing myself.
You race yourself.
That's right.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Great answer.
If you were an animal, what would you want to be?
Wow. An animal. I guess an eagle. I want to fly.
That's a good one.
If you identify as a female, who do you think's the best looking man in the country?
Oh my God. Wow. If I can't answer that. I don't know. Rusty Hill, I guess.
There you go.
All right. What's your favorite racetrack you've ever seen?
That I've ever seen. I'm going to have to go with Gateway. I really like that place. I've not been to a lot of tracks, but that is one of them.
What's the place you want to go to?
I'd love to go to Bristol.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew or Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Yep. That'll do it.
Hey, I tell you what, you really threw me for a loop on the female question. I really did not answer that. I'm like, well, if I do answer this, I'm going to sound like a little, kind of a little gay. But
if you say Tom Cruise, I'm going to laugh.
Yeah, it don't matter your answer.
I'm just glad he didn't say one of us, Blake.
Well,
yeah,
I'm comfortable. I would have known it was a compliment. I know I look good. Some people just don't think so.
I'm here. I'm with you.
All right, y'all. I explained this a little bit ago.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
All right.
Hello.
We're going to do the pick a winner, be a winner. And I explained a little bit of this to you guys earlier. And for all the listeners, we've changed this up. You know, this has not gotten hit. We've done 11 episodes of the podcast. This will be the 12th. The very first one, we didn't do the game. But so this has been an ongoing deal for over 10 weeks and nobody's hit it. And I'm going to try to start making this a little bit easier or a little bit closer to hit. We're getting 2 opportunities. And here's what's going to happen. If one of you guys hit it on Saturday, which we've already discussed, Blake's taking Saturday, Rob's taking Sunday. If Blake hits it Saturday and then, you know, Fisher's guy hits it on Sunday, I'm paying both of you. And I'm just going to pay double. So the way it's going to work this weekend. Yeah. The way it's going to work this weekend is it's going to be 4 drivers out of each class. But each class has a wild card in it. So if the wild card is drawn at any point, you can choose the wild card and you can pick any person you want. If you want Andy Romine because he's not in the top 4, or you want yourself, Rob Fisher, because you're not in the top 4, or whoever, Austin Romine, you can take whoever you want in any class that you want, and that's going to be your pick. So since Blake's taking Saturday, I will start out with Blake first, and I've got all 5 chips, and we're going to go, let's see which one Jay belongs to. This is Super Pro. So I've got Super Pro in the bowl. I'm going to shake these up. All right, and it's going to be Bob Paul. So Bob Paul for Super Pro. I'm going to get these chips out and set them to the side. We're going to go Sportsman. All right, chips are in here. Sportsman is going to be, it's the wild card. So we got a wild card for Sportsman, or well, any class. So you can take anybody you want. All right, now we're going to go, let's see, Pro. Okay, Pro class, here we go. If I draw a wild in Pro, I'll just take it out and pull another car. Pull another driver. And it's going to be Jim Treat. So, you can either take Bob Paul in Super Pro, Jim Treat in Pro class, or you can take anybody in any class that you want.
And this is to win.
It's going to be $75 to you and $75 to the person that actually gets it done and gets you the win. So if you take whoever you take, if that person wins this weekend, then you are getting $75 and they're getting $75.
And Saturday is the Terry Luxenfeld Memorial, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I got to pick the top whatever. And
You can you've got a wild. You can take anybody you want.
Yep. All right. I'm going to do. Give me Austin Romine in Pro.
Austin Romine in Pro. All right, hold on a second. Austin in Pro. Got it. All right, Fisher. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready, bud.
We just went. Okay, let me get these separated.
How many
again.
cars? How many cars are going to be there, son?
Oh man, on Sunday.
Here, let's take a bet. Let's do $1 a piece.
The bet.
Gentleman's bet. You know, all 3 of us will bet on whatever gumball color comes out. So
You bet.
I'm going to say total cars on Sunday, or total entries, I guess. And then we're just counting Pro, Super Pro, and Sportsman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say there's 43 entries total.
Oh, 43 entries. What are you saying, Fisher?
Oh, let's see. 20, 15 equals 50. I'm going to say 50 total wins. Probably. You never know. And
50.
the best part of it is if I look up there and I'm like, oh hell, I'm just gonna withdraw. I'm closing.
Let's see. I'm gonna say on Sunday, I'm gonna say we got 27 pro, 26 pro, 15. I'm gonna say that we get 58 entries on
58.
Sunday. I'm thinking that the weather's going to be nice, and there's going to be a few that maybe camp out this weekend.
You're right. The weather will be nice, and maybe the Weavers will show back up.
You know what? I talked to the Weavers today, and that's not going to happen. I tried to get them there.
Right.
I really did try to talk Sarah into coming, and she's just, I don't know. She's not a fan of Coles County Dragway anymore, and she's got her reasons. So, I'm I don't hold anything against her for that. I like when they're there. We have a good time. Her and my old lady are, pretty good friends, and they have a good time. And I think they'll be there the following weekend, and I'm gonna do something pretty neat that weekend. We'll see how it works out, but I'd like to set up all the podcast stuff and put out 4 microphones and 4 headphones and set a table up after the races and just let everybody get a couple of drinks in them and have an uncensored show. I don't know what to call it. I thought about doing like live in lane 5 or something. No, I don't know.
Oh man, the round table.
The round table. That'd be good. Although the table is probably going to be square if I set it up, but
good old lane 5.
Live in lane 5. That's like when you go live in the pits with the Rain Man. There's a lot of times when you're actually not in the pits and you're in the staging lanes, and then I always want to comment and say this is live in lane 5, but with the Rain Man.
Yeah, we'll get to what lane 5 means next week.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll talk about that next week. All right, we're gonna start you out with Sportsman Class. I've got the chips in here. I'm gonna shake them up.
Let me have it.
All right, I'm picking one out right now. It is Katrina Murphy. So you got Katrina Murphy and Sportsman. All right, Super Pro coming up. Let me make sure I write all these right down. Yep, there we go. All right, here we go. Super Pro. Got our chip, and it's the Wild. I don't even know if I need to pull a chip for Pro, but I will.
Wild card on Sunday's gonna,
All right, Pro Class coming at you. Like I said, I don't even know if I need to pull this, but because you're going to take who you want now, but I might throw you. Wow, you got 2 Wilds. So
what's
there
that
you
mean?
go. I don't know. I didn't make a rule for that.
How he likes it in the rules.
Okay.
You don't get 2 chances.
I'm gonna use my process of elimination, and I'm gonna go with, let's see, the class that will be the lightest, and I'm going to go with a person that I am almost guarantee will be there. So that is my reasoning for picking Denny Katz to win Super Pro.
Denny Katz, man, I'll tell you what.
Because he was on fire last week.
Yeah, he was.
Probably going to be in maybe the lightest class. So I'm going to increase my odds by taking Denny Katz.
Only thing I know about the deal with Denny is it's getting to that point where I think Corey Butler wants to win the bracket final points. And I think it might be to that point where he might start chasing Denny up. I think he's tried a couple times. I don't know that to be true 100%, but that's the only thing that would scare me about Denny Katz. But and you know what? Denny's had Corey's number a couple times this year, and Denny has been, like you said, he has been on fire. And it's just like 00. I mean, I think he was in the final a couple weeks ago, or if he wasn't, he might have won. I don't even remember, but he was down there in the late rounds. He's been on a tear this year. He's having a really good year. He's earned every bit of it for sure. All right, so I got Blake Cooper down for Austin Romine in pro on Saturday. You know what? It's a big money race, and Austin seems to really do well. Austin's kind of struggled a little bit. Took his car home this weekend and came back with his dad's. I think that might be because of traction issues, but you know, he's struggling a little bit, and he's going through one of them slumps. But when there's money on the line, I'm usually going to take Austin Romine because he's pretty tough. But Fisher has
Austin
got
Romine
Denny Cat Super Pro.
If Austin Romine wins on Saturday, you donate the money or whatever to whatever everyone else has donated to it.
So far, everybody's donated to bracket finals. They
Sure.
are right now. I know that they were about $600 to $700 light of being able to pay for the bracket finals for everybody to go. Now, of course, we've got this weekend and next weekend to go, and then you know, Five Bugle Barbecue is going to let Susie run the trailer all weekend, one of these weekends, and every proceed is going to go towards the bracket final. So we
Does
might
that
have enough.
including the 50-50 and all that
I
stuff?
believe so. Yep. Yep. Everything right now, she's there. You know, it's really, it's hard to believe that they're short. I know it cost like $2,900 to pay for everybody to go, and or something along those lines.
32 times 50.
Yeah.
$50.
And it's,
1,600.
they've had you know, trouble getting enough money raised to do this every year, and
Yep.
and you know, a few people have stepped up in prior years and helped out, but you know, I don't know of anybody that's done it yet as far as saying that they would just go ahead and cover the rest. But you know, it's going to be close, and we've done a few things on the podcast, but yeah, we appreciate that. So $75 if Blake wins goes towards bracket
Austin
finals.
Romine wins on Saturday.
Austin
I'll
Romine.
match the 75.
Oh wow, there you go. So that's $150.
$150.
Hey, I'll go one better than that. Well, I guess it won't be one better than that. I will pay back $100 if I sweep the memorial races this weekend.
If you sweep them,
Sweep them. I've won the Walt Crabtree and the Rob Easton.
oh yeah. I get what you're saying.
I want the trifecta.
There you go. So
If I win, I will take. We'll just say I'll take $200 of that money and put it back.
okay, 200 of the money if Rob Fisher sweeps the CCD Memorial races.
That's what I want to do.
I got it written down. I'm going to hold you to it, man. And I
But
know
I'm telling you what, Austin Romine is definitely due. he's the
man,
man.
he really is due. I
He
mean,
was on fire last year, and he's going to catch fire again. It's just a matter of time.
I think I raced him Saturday. I want to say that I raced him. Yes, I raced him Saturday. I can't remember what he was. I was really good. I think I was 001 against him. But the week before, he was, you know, he's had a really. I think he's having a hard time adjusting to the starting line. The way they switched over the sensors and stuff, because I've seen him click it red a lot. And you know, it is what it is. That's part of racing. You go through that. Everybody goes through it, but he'll figure it out. I mean, like you said, he's due. And once he does figure it out, watch out, because the dude is, you know, he's just as good as anybody down there. I mean, but yeah, he's definitely due for a win.
Yes, he is.
Well, listen, guys, this was a lot of fun. I really, this was something different. I mean, we just sat here for an hour and 10 minutes, and every bit of it was just as fun as I imagined, and pretty awesome. This is definitely different, and I like doing different. You know, that's something about this podcast, that each week I try to think of something that you know, won't turn people away. Like, you know, if somebody listens to the same exact show, it's just different drivers that I'm talking about every week, it's eventually going to turn people off, and I want to do something different. And this was definitely pretty cool. And, you know, Christy's idea to do this, and both of you deciding, you know, you wanted to do it, it was pretty fun. And I appreciate you guys coming on here. It's been a lot of
And you
fun.
deserved it.
Well,
You
it was
deserved
definitely
it, and
different being.
congratulations for whooping my butt Saturday night. I appreciate it.
Well, you know what? That can go anyway, any other way. I mean, we've done that a couple times, and you've had my number, and you know what? I'll tell you what. Matter of fact, when I was talking about, you know, when you guys asked me if there's anybody scared to race, And I said, back in the day there might have been, but I was sitting in there looking at the lanes, and there was 4 cars left, and it was you, Andy Romine, myself, and I think Tim Muchow. And we're sitting there. My dad was like, well, you're going to have Andy Romine or, most likely Andy. And I'm like, you know what, at this point, with what's up there, I would rather be racing Andy than I would be Rob Fisher right now, because Rob Fisher has had a hell of a good year and he is on fire. Dude, I tell you what, it's like you can obviously that little streak ended on Sunday. We both sucked on Sunday, but it's like every single week you unload your car, you're clicking on win light after win light after win light, and it's not like a lot of it's,
I'm living right. We'll just say that. I had a lot of luck.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes it takes that, but you know what? You had a lot more than luck going for you when you needed to be good, and you were good.
I'm gonna reverse what your theory is. The one I'm scared to race at 4 cars is the guy that's hardly ever there, because it's his day. I did not want to run Tim Muchow.
Oh yeah, right.
Because when somebody, he's there a lot. He's there often, but not as often as some. And when he's there, there's a reason he's there.
Yeah,
this is his day.
I actually, when I talked about people having tire issues, he's been one of them, and he's got a set of tires on his car now that work. I mean, he bought a brand new set of tires, and his car just wouldn't get out on the track, and he put some old tires on it. They're 2 years old, and his car is coming up off the ground, just a bumper on the track, and it's hooking, and it's working. And when
I think he was in the semis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was. I don't think the car was working as good that week, but yeah.
He's pretty hot.
He's having a good year, and he's on a little bit of a roll, so. But anyway, we like I said, we've been on here for over an hour, so I'm gonna let y'all go. And like I said, I appreciate y'all doing this, and it was a lot of fun being on the other side of it.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Bye. All right, we'll see you guys. See you. All right, so that was obviously a lot of fun, something different, and that's what we're looking for. To try to do some different stuff on the show and keep people's interest. If I get on here and talk results, points, a little bit of track news, and that's it. Obviously every week that's going to get old. People are going to lose interest. They're not going to tune in as much. And I'm aiming to do the opposite of that. I want to keep people coming back, listening every week, get new people interested in listening. And obviously we have the CCD podcast Facebook page. If you have ideas or suggestions, put them on there or send me a personal message. Obviously I'm open to ideas. I've actually got an idea that I want to do in a couple weeks. Like a bonus episode. I talked to we heard this in the interview. I want to just bring the stuff down to the track and set it up at Rick Scott's trailer, because that's the hangout, after the races. It's well lit. It's, everybody hangs out down there, drinks and eats food. And I just think it'd be cool to have several microphones set up and just do a little bit of an episode. I'll sit down, and whoever wants to sit at the table with me and get on a microphone and shoot the shit for a while, I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, could you imagine Rick Scott and Bob Weaver getting on a microphone with each other, to going at it, together? That would just be, I think that would make for a really good show. Obviously, it will be completely uncensored, parental advisory, I would imagine. But if it goes well, if I decide to do that and it goes well, I think I might take all the stuff to bracket finals. Have a bracket finals episode where, maybe, Donna, we can get about 9 or 10 Jello shots in Donna and just set her down in front of a microphone. But no, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Over the next, month, is doing something neat like that. Some bonus episodes that are completely uncensored and just people sitting around shooting the shit and talking about drag racing and talking about just anything. I mean, like I said, when you get Rick Scott or Bob Weaver, a few beers in, and come on a microphone, it's hard telling what we're going to hear. But that's the fun of it. And I think it'd be really awesome. But anyway, that is all we are going to have time for this week. And we're going to go ahead and end this episode. It's a long one. I know that. We've had a few of these in the past, and that's okay. I mean, like I said, we're doing big stuff over here, new stuff, different stuff every week, trying to think of something different. And you guys heard the news earlier on the Pick a Winner, Be a Winner. Some big stuff on the line that could happen this weekend. But anyway, that is all for this week's show. We will catch you all next week. Thank you all for listening.